everybody. Welcome to Tech Tips Girl Live. With me, I have Chris Williams, Will Perkins, and Vince. How do you say your last name, Vince? How do you?
Baumel.
Baumel. Okay.
Actually, Smith.
Smith. It's Vince Smith.
The R is silent, so yeah.
Okay. I kind of want to introduce you guys this time in case anybody is like watching that doesn't know y'all. I know y'all, but you know, Chris, would you like to go first?
Sure. Hello, everybody. My name is Chris Williams. I am the owner of my own company, Precision Analytics Group. I've been doing Tableau for 16 years. I've been an ambassador for 4 years. I do run several user groups for Tableau. And then I'm also a Tableau user group mentor. So I'm happy to be with the four of us, happy to be together today. So this is going to be awesome.
Chris is also an Alteryx ace. So I know we're mentioning a different tool, but I'm an Alteryx innovator as well as a Tableau visionary. And Chris is an Alteryx ace. I didn't make that. That's awesome.
just another thing, another way to make analytics fun.
Awesome. Let's see, Vince, you can go next. Who are you? What do you do?
I was so unprepared for this. Hey, everybody. My name is Vince. I am a data analyst based out of the Twin Cities in Minnesota. I've been working with JLL for about 4 years now. I've been using Tableau for a long time, kind of like Chris. I think I started in version 8.1, so about a dozen years or so. But I've been to all sorts of different events for Tableau and absolutely am on fire for this community. And yeah, so I've been an ambassador for I think 6 years now, and I just love everything about it. So I'm super excited.
Awesome. Will, who are you? Who are you, Will?
You know, I have a lot of introspective thoughts and everything. I'm trying to discover who I am. But externally, so I work at a large financial institution that anybody be able to look me up on LinkedIn. I've been very involved with the Tableau community for many years, similar to events. I started using Tableau version 8.2, I think was the official version we had when I first started. So it's been about 12 years for my usage. Been an ambassador for 5 years. Highly active in the community, like I said, and I don't know, I like talking. So this type of stuff enjoys. I like talking. I like listening. I like hearing stories of what people are doing, how they're doing, not just from a Tableau perspective. We got a lot of really interesting people in this community.
So which topic would you guys like to go first? I know I sent you all some topics. Did you want to talk about AI first to get the beast out of the way? Tableau Conference or data design? I'm gonna leave it up to you. Chris, Will, Vince, do you want to do AI first?
Well, I think data design will help lead you into AI.
Okay.
Because if you really get into the design portion, you make the AI life a lot easier because it really focuses on how well you organize your data and how these items are connected with one another.
So with that, what separates a good dashboard from a great one? I'm going to pose the question to you all first. Let's go with Will. What separates a good dashboard from a great one?
So good is informative, great is actionable. I would probably say it that way. Like I've seen a lot of good dashboards and they're really cool looking, a lot of interactivity, but I also leave there saying like, okay, I see the insight, but so what? What do I really care about? What do I really need to be doing? Is this for me to strictly just be informed on this metric, this number, this trend, or do I need to go do something afterwards? And I think a lot of people think about dashboards and just the here's the information and I put it together in a chart where there's not a lot of thought of so what.
Yeah, I think that is a great point. And as a developer, you know, a beginner developer, you can get really excited with creating something, putting in a dashboard, and hearing so what from a leader can kind of be like, oh, what did I do? So it's good to say the so what. Keep the so what in mind. Vince, what makes a good dashboard different from a great one?
Yeah, so great question. I love this because it kind of underpins fundamentals that don't really change over time. For me, it kind of comes down to space and breathability. I would much rather have a workbook that contains 5 different dashboards than one dashboard that's trying to pack 400 million things into it. Whenever and there's kind of a fine balance point too, where you can have too much space and it feels incomplete. But I would much rather kind of err on that side than a very obvious attempt to cram as much as possible with the smallest font size, bypassing legends, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, for me, it's space and breathability.
Awesome. And then Chris, what do you think?
Well, what I try to do is, what kind of story are you trying to tell with your dashboard? Like, what analytical question or questions are you trying to solve? And does that dashboard translate from thought to paper, so to speak? The space, the variety and the visualizations, all that's very important. The content, making sure that if you have 5 or 6 KPIs that a certain dashboard is supposed to hit, are you hitting them? Are people understanding what they're doing? Does it paint the picture of a positive, negative, or what? Within the first 10 or 15 seconds, you should be able to look at a dashboard and be able to solve something that you're trying to do. You need, whether it be a status of what's happening and what it's supposed to make you do. Remember, a lot of these dashboards, no matter what kind of the situation we're painted in, a good one, a great one should really encourage prescriptive analytics. What are we going to do now? We have all of these things here. What should we do about it? And now with all the technology that we have afforded to us in this AI arms race of sorts, we now have the ability to not just take what we see, we can actually kick off an action because of what's being shown. And so all of this is about adoption really comes from the prescriptive analytics portion of a dashboard, forcing a stakeholder to do something based off of what they've seen.
I think that's great to bring up storytelling. I know that's something that people don't really think of. Like, we're looking at charts, but it's telling a story. You're not just throwing a whole bunch of stuff on a dashboard and think if something's useful, it'll mean something to somebody. It's careful planning. It's what chart is used for the best analysis for this use case. There's a lot that goes into just, doing some of these designs. It's not just, I thought of a pie chart, so I'm going to use a pie chart. I just bring it up. A really good friend of mine said, friends don't let friends use food charts. Is that the right quote? Will?
I didn't think there was going to be cursing on this podcast, but here we go.
Damn.
Oh boy.
Well, if you start thinking about like the analogy that I use constantly, like especially with this whole dashboards are dead movement, because AI, whether it's like people are selling an AI solution or they're selling a product or a platform or whatever, the analogy that I keep going back to is like car dashboards won't go away because there's a lot of informative stuff that you need to know on a dashboard.
Yeah.
It's not going to be replaced if you just say, oh, I put AI in your car. Now you can ask your car anything. And so what the people are constantly doing is saying, how fast am I going? But even on a car dashboard, your speedometer is telling you how fast you're going. And you have to understand, I either, and even the newer cars are showing what's the speed limit where you're at. So not only what speed are you going, but what's the speed limit? So you can be actionable, like, oh, I'm way over the speed limit. I need to drop down. Like there's still actionability on that because you either are using your anecdotal experience of I saw the sign and it opened up my eyes. I'm above the speed limit.
Well, I was going there.
All right, good. Or it's like I'm where I need to be, and that's good, right? So that's an actionable thing, even in a simple landscape.
Great points. If AI can summarize insights automatically, do dashboards become less important? That's another question to think about. I know you're all shaking your head. I also think dashboards are still important, like Will just said, like the car analogy, you know. So that brings me kind of to AI in dashboard development. So how do you think AI is changing the role of the dashboard developer today? I know personally it's pushing some pressure and some fear of the unknown, and like how are the roles shifting? But from your perspective, how do you think it's changing? And I kind of brought Vince and Will and Chris together because we have some experience with it already churning and already coming through. So, Chris, how do you think AI is changing the role of the dashboard developer today?
Well, I mean, I think right now it's forcing you to actually create a model
Yeah.
that is deep and relational. I think with your AI, you can actually converse with your model, which enables you to converse with all the data that roll up to the visualizations that you're putting on your dashboard. And so one of the things that AI is really good for is the fact that it can find correlations that you may not be able to see whether or not it's occurring, because you may have a predefined notion of what you want this dashboard to produce. AI is completely, impartial in that. It's going to show correlations that it sees purely based on the data, nothing more. And so you probably will find the answer to your question, because when you develop your model and develop your dashboard, you're looking to tell that story. However, there's going to be a secondary and a tertiary story that AI may be able to find that you may not have thought of at the beginning, which could cause you to take another action. So I'm not threatened by AI. I'm not threatened by AI in the dashboard. What it'll do is it'll open your eyes to things that could potentially save your company later, because you're identifying this is an option, or this is what's happening, and this we really need to focus on.
Yeah, great answer. Because that's something too. It's just like I'm very focused on this one question that I have to answer. Oh wait, there's more. And Tableau is a great tool for this. And I talk about this in classes that I teach too. Is that you can drill down, and then you can discover insights in this tool with development. So Will, how do you think AI is changing the role of a dashboard developer today?
I would say a lot of it goes down to less specific chart building to more analytical engineering type role, right? Where you've got to be more technical. You've got to have more of the behind the scenes set up and structured in a way that we've been using business friendly tools like Tableau and Alteryx and Power BI and any other tool you want to call out over the years have been very business friendly. But AI has really taken that to another level to kind of help democratize data even more. And as we've always talked about over the years, is garbage in, garbage out on reporting, and like getting more of the business logic out of these individual silos of workbooks and workflows and notebooks and all these things. I think that is really where our space should be leaning into and understanding, to help enable and empower the business users while still having a sort of control over logic and training. So I think there's more. I think the platform is bigger, not smaller.
Awesome. Vince, how do you think it's changing the developer's role today?
Yeah, so I think it's really important to acknowledge what AI can do better and faster than we as developers can. I think there are inherently parts of the development portion that we are always going to be a little bit better at, and sort of visual storytelling, creating a compelling narrative, that kind of thing. And but where AI really, I think, enables people is when it comes to things like spotting potential explanations for outliers, right? And Chris, you were kind of getting to this a little bit, where like AI's ability to really quickly scan a data model and come up with potential explanations, I think really helps accelerate kind of this conceptual iteration of like, all right, if I'm looking at a brand new data set and I don't have any insights about it, what's the fastest way that I can get an idea for the shape and the relationship of the data points that I have at my fingertips? I think AI can do that infinitely faster than a human being can, despite how easy those tools have made it, to do so. And so I think leveraging that and saying, all right, as a developer, I want to focus more of my time and more of my effort on the things that AI can't do as well as a human can do, I think is kind of the frees you up to get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
So what part of dashboard development do you think AI disrupts? So do you think it disrupts the most data prep, modeling, visualization, or storytelling? So Vince, to continue on, picking on you, what part of the dashboard do you think AI disrupts?
For me, it's modeling. I think that is its biggest differentiator in terms of potential impact. I think that the ability to optimize code is something that like Will was talking about earlier with kind of like hard technical skills. That's a hard thing to teach people to be natively really, really good at, especially as tools change. So I think when it comes to optimizing data modeling, it's already been a game changer for me and for my team. And yeah, on the flip side of that coin, I think the impact of storytelling, the resonance of good storytelling, is always going to be something that there's a lot more greater potential in human hands than AI, like I was saying earlier.
Oh, good points. Chris, what part of dashboard development do you think it disrupts?
Well, there are times where AI can actually build your visualizations for you. And there are times in which I don't want that, because I want to be able to have still that autonomy to be able to figure out if I want to use a heat map, it's my prerogative. If I want to use a combo chart, then that's fine. But sometimes you get this data and you can ask a question of your AI bot to compare multiple dimensions and figure out what measures you want to use, and it'll do it for you. In a lot of ways, it can actually start building it for you, if not completely built it for you. I think it's fine in the sense that, yeah, as hardcore developers, it's like, hey, take it easy there, because that's our world. That's what we thrive on. We love this. In the other part of this, with it being sort of like an inclusive, now AI makes it more inclusive to multiple levels of stakeholders. So if you have the hardcore developers, you have the C levels, and everybody in between, you don't have to be, have a degree in all of this to go ahead and say, I want to know more about this data, which, and at the end of the day, encourage more adoption. And that's why we're able to continue to do this 30, 40 years down the line, because we have the adoption of multiple levels of stakeholders, because now they feel like they're a part of the process. So, and that's really good, because we love what we do and we want to keep it going. AI just makes it a little bit easier, but yeah, those are my 2 cents as far as that goes.
Will, how do you think it's disrupting the part of the dashboard development?
I mean, I would say it's disrupting every part, but what I think, the way that I would describe the best disruption that I can think of is like, my ADHD brain hates documentation. And a lot of times we do like these hacks, we do different things in a dashboard that don't necessarily make sense to an end user if they were to just download the data or look at this thing. And so like, what's the intent behind, and all these, like, you can create like an agent, or have it just kind of go through. That's actually a little side project I'm just trying to think about, like, work on and ideate through, is how can I get some documentation, because I want like a technical document. I want a business user document. I want a how-to guide. Like, I want to think about all the different use cases that I just don't want to have to create the words to put into that, because my ADHD self, I will start and I'm like, man, I'm going to go down every single avenue. Then I got to do this. And I just analysis paralysis. So I would say, like, the part that many of the developers that I talk to hate the most about building the solutions we build is the documentation and governance of that piece. So I would say I welcome my AI overlord to come and do all my documentation for me.
One thing I think it disrupts is it's kind of like the personability of talking to your stakeholders. Like, AI can make a suggestion for like a best practice, but you, the developer, it's your role to get to know your clients and what they need. If a new leader comes in, they may have a different focus than the previous leader. So you might have to cater your dashboard to that bottom line that this new leader wants, that the previous leader didn't really care so much about. So it does take out a lot of the heavy lifting with, data modeling, suggesting what chart for what analysis. But, what if you have a leader like Will Perkins that hates pie charts, and then you had pie charts before? So now, you, the developer, have to know that. And AI isn't going to know Will Perkins hates pie charts. You, the developer, have to know that Will Perkins hates pie charts. So
I hate pie charts too, so that I'm with you, Will.
friends use pie charts.
Pretty quick web search will probably turn up that Will Perkins doesn't love pie charts. So. You haven't been shy about that one, Will. It's all right.
No. So what is one way AI has already improved your work as a developer? Sorry, I just laughed because we had a comment. Someone said pie charts are evil. That came through. So sorry, distracting there for a second. So what's one way AI has already improved your dashboard process, I will say. Chris, would you like to go first?
It keeps me in check and making sure I build my model properly. And the model has to have flexibility. And that's a step that can be taken for granted, because you're looking to build your model for what your requirements are, not necessarily how many levels it can go down to answer a question to be able to promote that prescriptive activity, based off of using the language that every one of your stakeholders can understand. And so it just is not, your AI is forcing the modeler not to be complacent and to be very, very regimented and understand what data could potentially be available to tell this entire story. So it's a reinvigoration from the modeling perspective, because if you build a model and you ask a question, you're trying to go down the rabbit hole to find out why a KPI is a certain level, and you don't have that in your model, that's going to be the first problem that you need to fix. Your dashboard can be beautiful, but if you can't dive deep, what we would call back in the Cognos days, and I'm dating myself, is like drill down, drill through. I want to be able to drill through to the lowest level of detail in order to, or the highest level of specificity, to be able to figure out why something is happening. And if your model's not there, AI will be completely nonplussed in telling you that it's not there and you need to fix that in order to continue. So a lot of ways, that's a really good thing. It's another QA type of situation that you don't really necessarily have to pay for it, because it's going to tell you it can't get there.
Vince, what do you think? What's one way AI has improved your dashboard workflow? You and I had talked about this separately as a possible topic for TC. So I don't know if I'm guiding your answer. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good. So my team has between Tableau dashboards and Alteryx apps and Alteryx workflows and report builder reports, we got about 1,000 objects in total. Many of which were using custom code and stuff, because all of our data had lived in SQL Server. And all of a sudden, our client made a decision that we were going to move all the data instead into Snowflake, which meant that we needed to recode all 1,000 of those objects because the SQL syntax is different between the two. There are functions that are available in one, but not the other. And no one on my team really had a lot of expertise in Snowflake. And so we leveraged an in-house GPT tool. And I kind of built this into the process of how we did these migrations, that each time you would take the code from SQL Server, you would plug it in, you would say, hey, I need a version of this for Snowflake, and I need it optimized for what Snowflake does better than SQL Server. And when you get to the end, please explain to me the difference between the two. What changes did you make? And of course, we needed iteration. It wasn't perfect every time. We had to go back and tweak it. But at the end of the project, I had an entire team of developers who are now all of a sudden really, really good at Snowflake too, and completely familiar in Snowflake, as well as how to use a GPT tool in a really effective, iterative way too. And so for us, we ended up with better, more performant data models. We ended up with, more robust kind of coding on the back end, and a team that had upskilled because of kind of importing AI into the process of how we did this. So that was kind of my big success story for like, hey, maybe AI and GPT in particular type tools can completely transform how we do our work.
That's awesome. I love that story. Separately, Vince and I were going to do a session at Tableau Conference. We didn't get picked, which is okay. But I thought that was such an awesome use case, because how often as you a developer, our data is no longer in Databricks, it's in Snowflake, or it's no longer in SQL Server, it's somewhere else. So how do you quickly adjust, your code for a new, data connection? So Will, how has AI improved your dashboards or workflows or what have you?
I would say the biggest thing, like when I talk with people about my love for what we do in like the data analytics world, is I always treat it as a secondary language or tertiary or whatever. Like you can become a polyglot, because there are things that we have to translate from business users, and pre-AI LLM GPT style things. I would always explain to people like, the result is going to be exactly what you ask for in data. So if I'm looking for Will Perkins, but Will Perkins is not really Will Perkins in the system, it won't find, like if it's looking for it really William Perkins or Perkins comma William or whatever type of thing it is, it's like you're getting exactly what you want. I would even say like Ask Data, like when that came out from Tableau perspective, that was ahead of its time, because it was still very, you could put in some synonyms and stuff, but it had to be those exact words. It had to be those exact things, where it was where we should have gone earlier on, but that wasn't ever really adopted because of the literalness of language. So in the LLM world and AI explosion, now the ambiguity is actually really understood. The context is understood. It knows, like if I'm looking up Will Perkins is probably an employer or an employee or a user or this or that. So what's all the context we know about any person, and kind of go and figure that out and it iterates through. It's like, did you mean user? Did you mean employee? Did you mean manager? Did you mean that? Like starts kind of iterating through itself, and it's helping business users understand how to kind of like frame up their questions, or how could we translate that to kind of get, so like for me it's like a Rosetta Stone for business users, and that's how I would say it's absolutely transforming, not necessarily native in the tool per se, but just like AI in general is helping people become more adept quicker, like Vince's example, like Chris's example. Like there's so many different use cases for it.
I recently became aware of like some of the, meeting recording capabilities about it giving you a synopsis of your meeting. And I was like, wow, I would have loved to have had this with that developer with those stakeholders I had like a year ago that wanted A, B, and C, and D, and they were rapid fire, like wanting the changes, and my getting older brain love, like, wait a minute, what did we talk about in that meeting again? Okay, I think, so it's like, old school, have notepad, talk, like type as they're talking, or, if you could have that AI tool record the meeting and give you a summary and have actionable next steps. There are tools out there that do that. I know Copilot, Teams, there's Team, yeah. There's some other, like Super Normal is like another one that I just encountered that does that. That's pretty awesome. And I think that's very, very helpful, especially when you have kind of demanding stakeholders that may need a lot of changes. So
never happened before.
Never happens ever.
You're a unicorn there.
That's it.
One more thing is that we talk about how AI has really helped your modeling. It's low key improving your skill set too, because if you're trying to convert something to say from one SQL like MS SQL to say Snowflake SQL, and you don't know Snowflake SQL that well, this will force you to kind of low key really learn it in a better capacity and not invasive capacity, so that you can actually do something with it, and then that will expand. So you can use AI to help upskill you in a different way than, say, maybe a traditional course that might cost a lot of money to be able to do.
And time savings, yeah. Like, oh, maybe there's some users are still on SAS code and we need to convert this over to, I know. Did I say that out loud? Ooh.
Again with the first thing, come on.
All right. So do you think it blurs the line between analyst, data engineer, and dashboard developer? So does it kind of change our roles in the future or now? Will, what do you think? Does AI blur the lines between analyst, data engineer, and dashboard developer?
So yes, absolutely. I really see the need, working in a large organization, like division of capabilities between business, tech. BI has always been that middle ground. Some people have always considered it tech, even though they're BI simple user interfaces, or people are like, oh no, that's the business because it's business intelligence. Like, I really see the analyst job code kind of fading out, and I see analytics engineer being more mainstream. Like, I'm really want that push. Like, I think analytics engineer is the way that we need to be thinking about this going forward. But I'm just one man.
I'm gonna disagree, actually, Will, respectfully. I think for me, and maybe this is the difference between I think maybe this is the difference between a large organization and a smaller one, is that in previous roles, I've had to wear all of those hats simultaneously. And that was already a very, very blurry kind of line anyway. And so in that regard, I think especially for smaller orgs or smaller teams that might not have the ability to cordon off and distinctify each individual like kind of component and team, I think AI could actually help to clear those roles up by taking some of that load off of people in situations like that, where it might be like, all right, you don't have to put the hat of like data engineer optimization specialist on. I got that. Don't worry about that. I will make it better. You can focus on other things. So I think, yeah, for me, I see kind of the opposite approach.
So I'm going to be Switzerland here and give you both sides here. I think you can, and it's basically how each role uses AI. I think you still have your AI. I think you still have your roles, but a data analyst may use it for, trying to understand the underlying data and the relationships more. A visualization specialist may use it to see, hey, could this visualization maybe bring home the point of what's going on with that KPI a little bit more. You have different questions that are going to be posed to the AI bot based off of the role that you're currently sitting in or going to sit in. So I think you could have a one size fits all, which is dangerous, because then at that point the whole project could be in danger because you have too many cooks in the kitchen trying to do different things. I still think you need that regiment of having roles within the project to be able to execute whatever you're trying to build from a dashboard perspective. I just think that the stakeholders will ask different questions depending on their role. I think you absolutely have to have these roles still be one identified as they are.
All great conversation to be had, because maybe if you're watching, you've had a question, all of these questions, how is it changing my role? It's always the unknown out there. As it advances, it's cool to kind of have that aha moment of like, oh, wow, this tool can really help me. So I'm going to do a lightning round of just design questions. ChatGPT suggested it, so I thought it was kind of fun. What is the most overused chart type? Anybody on the call?
Text table, all day long. Text table.
Text table. Will, pie chart?
I mean, probably I would say either pie or bars. In all honesty, I think like a lot of people do distribution analysis to kind of understand. So I would say pies or bars.
Okay, Chris, what do you think? Most overused chart type?
I think it's a simple line chart because they expect it to do wonders and tell you everything, but it's not. I would also say a donut chart is right up there because they just throw it up there and they're like, oh, this is not a pie chart, but this looks cool. So why don't I just take the whole out of the center? And it's not really enhancing. Now, it can, in very minute cases, be very good, but I see it probably misused. Maybe it's a better way. It's overused and misused. I think that's kind of like one of the things that I would probably relate with the pie and the donut charts.
Yeah, when you say overused, like my brain is like used the most. I think a way we could say is what's misused, was commonly misused. Because as Chris was talking about the donut, I would say like a gauge chart.
I was going to say that.
Gauge charts, because it's like you're not starting at 0. You started at some random number and you're going to some other random number or this or that. So it's like, I would say I would switch it from pie and bar to gauge.
Yeah. And I want to weigh in on the donut chart debate real quick, because for me, like donut charts, if I think of them as like a band or a KPI, with a little bit of visual help around the outside, it becomes much more palatable for me. If I think of it as a band, rather than like kind of a component of a dashboard.
And Will, what is a band again? What?
Big ass number.
Big angry number, big aggregate number. Take your pick. Yeah.
Will and Vince did a session together. It wasn't last year, it was the year before at Tableau Conference, which I'm going to get to the fun of Tableau Conference. It's upcoming on bands, and it was hilarious. I thoroughly enjoyed that session, the duo, Will and Vince. I don't know if Salesforce keeps them, because I think it was the same year Chris and I did a session, and I can't find it anymore. So you guys...
We've done plenty of like kind of boring tech heavy presentations. We wanted to inject a little bit of whimsy into that one. And yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It was hilarious. So what, on the opposite side, what is the most underrated visualization in dashboards? Anybody?
Oh, wow. I'm a huge proponent of heat maps. I really like heat maps because instant pattern recognition, you can show high performance density, you can show correlation, and you can also get to a situation where if people aren't technically inclined, they'll be able to understand what that means faster. So you have 4 instant wins right there. If you use it right, it's very intuitive for non-technical audiences. And I bring that point up is because you're actually talking to the non-technical audience whenever you're building a lot of these dashboards. It's imperative that they accept what you build. Otherwise, you don't really have a reason for being there. So, I mean, it's all about adoption and usability. You want to be a tool to help your colleagues get through their day. And if this visualization in the dashboard that we're building for them helps them do that, then that's a win.
I like heat maps if your color scheme is like, well, it depends, right? Will, it depends. I'm using your term, it depends. If you have a chart and you want your users to quickly look at like maybe negative values. So I'm going to use my heat map. I was forced to put a text chart in my dashboard, so I'm changing it to a heat map where I'm outlining those negative values in red. So the user's eye immediately focuses to those negative values, if that was the purpose of the dashboard. So red, but then maybe my highs are gray, my others are, you know, so I'm using that pre-attentive attribute of color to draw my user's attention immediately to those red squares. So that's where I will say, yeah, a heat map is underrated. What do you think, Will, Vince? What do you think? What is an underrated chart type? Or visualization?
Sorry, I'm distracted. My cat keeps trying to become the center of attention. For me, I think underrated, I would go scatter plot. Like, I'm always drawn to a good scatter plot because, like, not only does it show you a lot of information at once, but especially once you get a lot more marks on that, you start seeing relationships between things. You start seeing cluster analysis. It's really intuitive and raises a lot of questions about, like, well, why does that correlation exist, right? What is accounting for that kind of those patterns that you start to see? So every time I see a scatter plot, I'm left with wanting to explore it more and ask further questions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Will?
I was gonna go with scatter, but I will use another deaggregated chart that I don't think gets enough love and is underappreciated by business users, and that's like a Cleveland dot plot, where you have like a line of like so I used it in an example one time where the question a stakeholder had was around like, are we doing better or worse on attrition for like losing people? And you know, they wanted to see trends, and I'm like, well, you got a bunch of different things like dimensions that you're judging it against, and aren't you really concerned about the rate of attrition and like kind of see what's the scale? So you have like your inner and outer boundaries. And so I use the dots as like time frames. So as you look at the different time frames, then looking up and down, you can actually see like a bar chart where the scale is, as opposed to trying to analyze the different trend lines per row that are on totally different scales and everything. So like, I think using a Cleveland dot plot is like underappreciated, underutilized, but really powerful.
And for those of you watching, kids, a Cleveland dot plot also looks like barbells. You know, you have a dot here, they might connect. But I think there's some variations too. I was just
you can add stuff in between. Yeah, you can have like other things. Like you have your ends, right? And you can add depending on your dimensions. It's not just a barbell, right? I'd also a third one. I'd probably say like a trellis chart. Trellis charts are also really impactful.
Someone said box and whiskers. Is that an underrated visualization? I think box and whiskers, like when I've used it, I've had to explain it, like for some users that weren't aware. So I like Will has said, it depends. Will handed out it depends. Like, didn't you have it depends stickers at one of the Tableau conference? Or maybe not. Okay.
No.
We
that's an Andy Cotgreave thing. Like.
Okay.
I love box and whisker plots. I feel like there's a higher bar for understanding, especially when you start looking at like quartile and quantile.
Yeah.
But, I usually find I like box and whiskers when they're paired with something else in addition to it. So something like a histogram or something like that that can add in another measurement of your data to kind of help further explain, like Will was talking about, that like there's always more context behind what's going on. So yeah, pairing it with something else, I think, increases adoption for people who might not be statistically as far along too.
So would you call that more of a box and whiskers, more of a a secondary, not the primary visualization for a particular KPI?
I think it depends on the audience, really. Like, I think if you pair it with something else, you might have one user who is immediately drawn to the box and whisker and what that tells them. But pairing it with something that makes it a little bit more user-friendly, a little bit easier to understand, I think could speak to your audience members that might not be as statistically savvy.
No. You need to put a patent on it depends right now, Will. So
Not me.
We had talked about it, Will. I now remember. So I think this is like ADHD to ADHD conversation that Will and I had. So I'm pretty sure if we look up in our WhatsApp, Will, there's a sticker that says it depends. That probably didn't happen. So note to self: it depends. Stickers for future. So I know we have like 15-ish minutes left. I know Will has a hard stop at the end of the hour, but I wanted to talk about Tableau Conference. All of us. Wait, I think all of our. Vince, are you speaking? Will's speaking.
I'm not speaking this year, no.
Oh, shoot. I thought you were speaking. So I got, so Chris, why don't you say your session that you're speaking at Tableau Conference, just for a little bit of advertising?
No, that's perfect. I'm actually speaking on Tableau MCP in Claude. And so we're going to run through a use case. We're going to show how you install it in layman's terms. We're in the theater on the 5th at 4:40, just before happy hour in the theater. So come and look for us there, and I will promote it on my LinkedIn. Feel free to join me on my LinkedIn. I just put a post up there, and I'll keep doing that. But yeah, 4:40 on the 5th in the amphitheater. So it'll be a really good deal. So yeah, I'm excited. I mean, obviously, I've got the pink thing going. You'll see the pigtails here later at TC. So make sure everybody comes and registers into TC. And if you can't go, see us on Salesforce Plus. So you can see all of these things here.
I am so distracted by the little cat, Ben. She's adorable.
She knows she's not supposed to be up there either.
Yeah, but you're distracted, and she'll do what she wants. It's her house, you know.
She insists on being a value add to every meeting I'm a part of. So
she is.
Hmm.
So if you're not aware, Agenda Builder is live. Mine looks crazy with all the things that I'm interested in. So I'm gonna have to make some hard choices. But then that's also feedback that we have for you if you're attending Tableau Conference. What to expect is there will be a lot of cool sessions to attend, like Chris' session. Like I have a session on Tableau templates, which is one of my favorite topics to talk about. That is on the 3rd day around noonish. Just search for templates. I am a replacement, but not a replacement for Steve Adams. I'm doing a session with Tor Levinson, and I'm also doing a session with David Kelly on how to future-proof your data or be kind to your future self and design your data in a way that won't break a dashboard. So those are my 2 sessions. That one is on Wednesday. I forget what time. Will, what are your sessions? Will, what is your session in Tableau Conference?
I'm back.
You're back.
My internet was a little glitchy. Yeah, it's been. Of course, it's doing it while we're live, right? So my session is called PDS. Finally, something you can build on. That's the friendly name. We initially submitted PDS does not equal PITA anymore. So we got kind of flagged on the PITA. But similar to OnlyBans, it will make an appearance. But the goal here is at Tableau Conference in 24, they announced the composable data. Actually, no, it's 23. They announced the composable data sources were coming. Composable data sources equaling the ability to use published data sources in data modeling. that we've never been able to do before. I was the first person to stand up and scream, yeah. So like if you go back and watch that Devs on Stage when they announced that, you can hear me in the background distinctly. And I was halfway across the room, the hall where they did it. And you hear, yeah. So Kirk Monroe and I are presenting this. The code is live. I'm getting like it's live in the aspect of like it is real code. We're not doing screen shares. We're not doing Figma. It is legitimate things. We've got early access to it to show off to people like this is real. This is not just a dream. You can pinch yourselves. It's alive. We are going on at 8 a.m. on Wednesday morning. So everybody come to our session to wake up. Hopefully it is fun. It is exciting. And it will drive your motivation for like to continue that day. Thursday morning as well, another session is the financial services meetup. Don and I will be co-hosting that with some other friends of ours from the industry. So if you're in the financial services industry, go check out a meetup. If you don't know what the meetups are, go look at the different meetups. There are a ton of different meetups. There's industry meetups. There's like Black and Data. There's the Pride meetup. There's all sorts of groups. Go find your tribe, find your friends, find new people. You're going to meet a lot of amazing people out there.
So if you're not in finance, come to the meetup anyway. I have some necklaces to give out. We all have our own, if you've never been to a Tableau conference before, it's like something, there's bracelets that are given out. I was really surprised last year with the beaded bracelets. I have Tableau, I don't have it up here anymore. Video game Tableau user group buttons, if you're interested. I also have Tech Tips Girl stickers, and I think Will, I'm sure, has stickers to give out. So find us.
Stickers. I got magnets. Like here's VisQale.
VisQale is definitely cool.
Your favorite beer?
Oh yeah,
That's great.
Yeah. And someone said meetups are great for networking and building relationships. And that is one of the awesome things about Tableau Conference is that you find so many people that are interested in the same thing as you. My very first conference was 2023 with Kyle Massey. It was our first one. And I kind of, we were the first timers. It was just so like surprising about how friendly and engaging people are and willing to like talk about the same things as you. So yes, come to Tableau Conference. There's a lot. So even if there's a lot of sessions, don't feel stressed if you don't make a session. Like maybe you'll totally space on it and end up talking to someone about a really cool like use case. And that's okay. You don't have to be everywhere all the time. Don't put pressure on yourself. It's just a great environment and a great experience to be had. I definitely say go. Any other advice would you guys like to instill in the watchers about Tableau Conference?
Pace yourself. There's a lot to be seen. Could be sensory overload. Could be a lot to do. Don't have FOMO because you can catch up on Salesforce Plus for something that you may not have had time to see. Don't stress. This is supposed to be fun. Go and network. Go have fun. Take your time and cycle down for a bit. Recharge. Do it again. I mean, there's plenty of time. We've got 3 days, almost 4. San Diego's awesome. So the city is not the problem. It's going to be a perfect venue for you. But there's so many things to see. Just do what you can and don't kick yourself for not doing something.
Vince, just pick her up. Just pick her up and bring her into because right. I love cats. Like
so this is Lily. She is she's a Balinese, so kind of like a Siamese, only going to be like longer hair. So she's about 5 months old now, and she's real noisy and totally bossy. So, all right, there you go. You've made your appearance. Okay.
So I had a past podcast called Cats, Coffee, and Tableau. I love pets. So if you see me at Tableau Conference, show me your cat pictures. I love them. Show me your dog pictures. I love them. talk to me about your pets. I will always be open to hearing about animals. So, any other advice we have for Tableau now that we were distracted by the cat? Don was distracted. Any other advice?
Yeah, I think, it kind of might actually segue a little bit because like this will be my, I think, 11th conference.
Oh my gosh.
And so I feel like at this point I've done conference through every different strategy that you can take. And I found that over time, what's become the most valuable to me is making space. Sorry, I don't know if you guys can hear her. She is just yelling at me.
She is yelling. Yeah.
But no, like the most valuable part of conference for me has become the community, the people that you meet, and intentionally making space for those kind of conversations that spontaneously come up in the hallways, or if you're waiting in line to get into a session or something like that. Like stepping out of your comfort zone a little bit if you're a little bit more introverted, and just, asking simple questions like, where are you from? What's the coolest thing you're working on right now? Like, use it as a place, as a hotbed for inspiration. So yeah, it's amazing. I've started building space in my schedule specifically for that, and yeah, it pays off every time. Love it.
So you're gonna hear like similar arcs. I think every single person that goes to conference has like multiple times has the same story arc. The first conference you go to, you want to absorb everything. You want to go to all the sessions. You want to learn as much as possible because you're like, oh my God, I'm here. I'm going to do it. And you really run yourself dry and you beat yourself up for not meeting everything in your schedule. All these different things. Like you just don't make the space because you just want to do it all. Second year, you realize, okay, I overdid it. I step back a little bit. You meet more people. You see somebody from last year. Like you just kind of start realizing like what Chris and Vince have been saying is like you start giving yourself the grace of being in the moment, meeting people. What I will also say is if you see somebody that you recognize from the community, you've never seen them before, like go say hi. I will like Vince Baumel is like the perfect example of I saw him at my second conference. I have followed him for years on Twitter and all that. And I was just so intimidated. I'd be like, man, that's Vince. Should I go say hi? Like, does he know who I am? Like, I was so nervous. And I was like, all right, F it. I'm going to go say, hey, Vince, this is Will Perkins. And he knew who I was. And like, he's one of my best friends now. Like we've built just such an amazing, amazing relationship that started from me just taking the leap and just building those connections. I met Chris last year. No, 2 years ago. Was it last year? 2 years ago? Yeah. And holy shit, like I've followed him for years. Like he is amazing. He does amazing things. And I was just like, all right, let's go do it. I want to go, what's up, Chris? Like, so you just start meeting people and just don't be shy because there are massive amounts of introverts at this conference. You're not the only one, right? There are massive amounts of extroverts. You're not going to be the only one. Like, just say hi. Like, what are you learning? Like all this stuff. You're just, the more you put the people first at conference, the more you're going to get out of it. Sessions are great. Not all sessions are recorded anymore, but you can go back to the recorded sessions. So like focus on everything that you can't do later.
Yeah, I would say same. I was like, Chris, I saw you. Hey, Chris, I saw you at Aspire Alteryx conference. Yeah. And then I saw him at Tableau Conference. I was like, wait a minute, Chris, like, what are you doing here? So, yeah.
I get around apparently, so that's the only problem. That's all I do. I go to conferences.
What I will say, there was a comment in here, a question. So Daniel, like, I know Daniel, like, I know he's gonna be attending virtually. Like, so from a virtual perspective, I would say treat it as if you're actually at conference. Like, block that time from your work calendar. Like, invest in yourself. Don't have it on as just a secondary noise while you're working on a thing. Like, be in the moment, whether physically or virtually. Just be there. Engage however you can. Join. There's a Tableau community Slack channel that there's gonna be a lot of people engaging there. So like, be there wherever you're at.
Great advice.
Awesome. And with that, we are at time. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Chris, Vince, and Will, for joining today's podcast. Love to have you. And it will be streaming. I think if you didn't make it, people who didn't make it, it will be on my TechTube channel later. But thanks so much, and see you later, everybody. Have a great one.
See you all soon. Take care.